interesting, I think, looking to qualifying when they get up through the gearbox that we all know is so important. A lot easier. There's no H pattern. You don't have to cross the gate, so to speak, from second gear to third gear. It's just bang, bang, bang all the way. Pull it back, pull it back, pull it back till you can't pull anymore.
Inside 20, then another 15 back to the 40. You're clear.
So there's the swap at the front they talked about. We're looking around the track. Most everybody else in small groups or single car runs, so
you
we'll
can see
right
him
here.
bouncing that in-car camera right there. It tells me that those cars are very rigid. I had talked to a couple of the drivers that said these things are pretty stiff, almost coil bound, if you will, on the rear of these things, and it looks like it from the in-car right there in Denny Hamlin.
Brad Keselowski, Chris Buescher. Was that a little bump drafting?
It was, but for it to be successful, you're going to have to stay connected. You can't bump him off of bump out of that bubble, so to speak. You got to stay attached. Two cars move as one.
And that's another thing we don't know. What will happen to the temperature of that trailing car?
It'll go up.
And how much?
The question is how much.
Right. Let's take another look here.
See his cow flaps come up. A lot of action right there, a lot of things that I'm looking at. The other thing that's new to these cars, that again, talking to these drivers, they have foam behind the bumpers. So these things are soft. They say when you touch each other, both the front bumper of the pushing car and the back bumper of the car in front have foam in those bumpers, so it's really soft. It's not as solid as it used to be. Kind of hard to tell if you're touching them or not, is what I was told.
But also, you're not going to touch them and spin them out right away like with the old car.
Well, again, manufacturer-wise, and going back to what we have with this new car, everybody's kind of has that round nose. Last year, for the last several years, it was the Ford that has the more round nose, easier to push, Mike. Yep. The Chevys and the Toyotas were kind of a spearhead, like an arrowhead, and they were very hard to push. When they hit somebody in the bumper, it would throw them one way or another. Now, pretty much all these next-gen cars have that rounded nose on them.
For more on these rigid cars, Regan Smith.
Well, Mike, Clint just talked about how these cars looked like they were bouncing around, how rigid